to Confessions with Nikki G. I'm your host, Nikki G. It's been a while, you guys. I have been home resting and relaxing, just enjoying life, but I'm so glad to be able to speak with you guys today. I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy day to listen at today's topic. But first things first, do not conform to the patterns of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Translation, don't be like the rest. Be your best by learning new things to help you to become a better version of yourself daily. And that is what I strive to do here on this podcast, Internal Evolutions, Confessions with Nikki G, Internal Evolutions. Because I want to help you grow and prosper from the inside out. That is emotionally, mentally, and also physically. I can also help you in that way too. But first, we have to deal with the things that we have going on internally. And that comes with the renewing of your mind. I would just like to start off by first saying that, like I said, I've been home resting. I did a little bit of traveling. And yes, I have been, to a degree, enjoying life. But here, for the past couple of weeks, for the most part, I've just been feeling unmotivated, tired, just exhausted. I don't want to get out of bed. I haven't really been, socializing like I normally would. All I've really been caring about is just getting through the day. Just taking care of the norms. That is, my house, work, and gym. That's all I really care about. Anything else, I just unmotivated. Really, I've been unmotivated to go to the gym, but I've still been showing up regardless. So it got to the point now that I had to discover, why am I so unmotivated? Why am I so tired? Why do I feel so exhausted all the time? Okay, so I went and I did a physical. Nothing there, So I'm thinking, well, why am I so exhausted? I'm tired. Maybe it's my sleeping patterns. That's not it. I've been getting rest. So then I started to wonder, okay, what else is going on with me? And I ran into this article about something called operating in survivor mode. And I thought to myself, what in the world is operating on survivor mode? And do I really fit that criteria? Now, it's others out there, like myself, that you may be feeling unmotivated. Things that you used to like to do. You just all of a sudden, you know what? You don't even really care about it anymore. It just becomes, like I said, you just want to get through the day and just go to work, go, take care of your home and get into bed. That's it. That's about it for you. And if that person is you, I think this podcast today will help you discover why you probably, feeling this way. So once again, let me go back to talking about operating in the survival mode. Let me define survival mode from the first definition I found. It stated that survival mode is fear-based. It's a mode of thinking that normally leads you to attack or retreat during stressful times rather than communicate and embrace. So to wrap that up, basically just saying avoiding conflict and not dealing with your emotions. Well, that's not me anymore. I used to be that person. But since I've taken on this task of internal evolutions, I don't let a lot of things pass me by without me, handling the situation right then and there. So I thought, okay, well, I don't fit that. So, of course, I kept looking. And I found another definition of survival mode. And it stated that this happens when you're just trying to get through the day. You don't have any long-term plans. It's only about making it through the day. And I thought to myself, that is me. I just want to go to work, do whatever I need to do. In my home, I want to do whatever I need to do in the home, and that's it. No more, no less. Even though I have been traveling and doing things, I basically made myself do it. I really didn't want to. If it was up to me, I would just stay in the house. But I know that's not healthy. However, going back to that definition, I thought to myself, well, that's me. Maybe I am operating in this survivor mode. But to sum it up, for me, within that definition, it should read that you just don't have the mental energy to do small things, mental or emotional energy to do small things, something as simple as answering the phone. And that was me. I would see people calling. I wouldn't answer the phone because I didn't have the mental capacity to even deal with people. Some people are like, why you haven't been? Because I just don't want to talk. I don't have the mental energy to deal with you or the emotional stamina to even deal with you, or deal with a phone call. Sometimes I just don't want to be bothered. And that's not like me. I'm always the person, people could talk to, or, I don't mind a conversation here and there, but lately it's just been, I just don't want to talk. So once I read that and I began to think about all of my actions, it made sense to me. I had been operating in survival mode. I had, like I said, no mental or emotional energy just to deal with certain things. So I only dealt with the basic things that got me through the day. And that was it, which was totally unhealthy. Now, maybe you don't identify with that particular trait, but I have 9 other ones that I'm going to read to you that you might identify with. And if you can't relate to a few of them or maybe one of them, you might be operating in survival mode. And I'm going to tell you, if that is you, what you can do to fix this problem. And also going forward, I give you some day-to-day tips as well. Now, I can no longer say that I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a psychologist, but I have completed my life coaching. So I am in that realm now. So I can no longer say that, yay for me. Okay, so I digress. Let's get back to signs that you might be operating in survival mode. Now, I found this article online. It was written by this company called, by this person, Gene McKinnon. And everything that I'm about to read to you could identify you as operating in survival mode. Okay, so first things first. You are doing everything you can just to get through the day. That's first. Number 2, you have focused all your energy on the next 24 hours. You are unable to even think about the next day, never mind the next week. Because once again, you're just trying to get through the day. Number 3, you can only consider one task at a time because everything is urgent. And that was me for a little while. I set these major goals for myself, and everything I had to do, it had to be done. You feel alone and helpless because you are the only one that can do the job and do it the right way. That was so me. I might ask someone to do something, and I was like, you know what? Just let me do it so I can make sure that it's done right. Not thinking that I'm slowly just feeding into this whole survival mode. Next, you push others away without even thinking you don't have the time or energy to deal with them. Now, I just told you, I was so to the point where I wouldn't even answer the phone. I had no mental or emotional energy to deal with people. Next, you don't eat properly. Sleep is a foreign concept, and your stress level is so high you feel like you will snap at any moment. Eating properly, I could say, yeah, I did. But sleeping, on the other hand, no. I wasn't sleeping in the way that I should. I was operating probably off of maybe 3 to 4 hours of sleep. But I'm pulling in, a full schedule in the day. When I say a full schedule, maybe 10 to 12 hours of working, maybe another 4 or 5 hours, getting educated on certain things. And my day is full. I don't have time to really think about anything else but what I need to do, which I know is unhealthy, but hey, I can't come on here and preach to you about certain things from my perspective unless I've done them myself. And then I can come to you and then I can advise you guys on how you could possibly correct them. The next one says, you rush around like crazy, but you never get caught up. You always feeling like you behind. You always feeling like you're not getting your task done because slowly you steady doing everything on your own. You steady, piling things on your plate. And then it's kind of like a vicious cycle because once you pile all these things on your plate and you don't complete everything on the plate, you feel like a failure. Then you're stressing yourself out because you wasn't able to complete everything. That's why I call it a vicious cycle. Because that plate, it never empties. You just keep piling and piling and piling. And that was me. I kept taking on more and more and more and more. And it was like going in a circle because I wasn't totally completing everything. Next, all you can do is react to each situation that arises. And we know that's a no-no. Now, because you cannot react to everything. Everything doesn't deserve a reaction. Some things you just got to let it go. Now, out of those 9, I personally could relate to at least 7 of them. So with that being said, I said, you know what? That's why I'm exhausted. That's why I'm unmotivated. I'm exhausted because, once again, I'm stressing about the things I couldn't complete. I'm unmotivated because I'm not completing anything. So I feel like I'm just going in a circle. So therefore, I'm not motivated to do it anymore because it's not being complete. So I'm steady taking on more things thinking, okay, well, I can complete this and do that. And it's just not working. So I'm basically overwhelming myself and stressing myself out. So basically, from what this author wrote was, once again, you just feel buried, just like I said, and overwhelmed because you've taken on all these things. Now, if you can identify with those things, like I said, and you feel like you are operating in survival mode, I'm going to give you some steps to take so you can get out of survival mode. That's what I had to do. So, next. Oh, let me back up. Not only did I relate to those symptoms of being in survival mode, I found 2 more that I could identify with, and I'm pretty sure someone's out there listening to me right now, you will identify with this as well. Appearing cold and distant. I like to call it unbothered, nonchalant. I was told by one person that my heart was behind a barbed wire with electrical currents on it. Nobody's getting to it because I was so guarded and on the defense at all times. That's because I was operating, or I was at that time operating in survival mode. Your guard is raised to protect. You're just overly defensive. You're overly sensitive. That was me at one time. Now, we are supposed to protect ourselves to a degree, but when it becomes just when you're overly defensive about something minute, you might be operating in that survival mode as well. And then once again, you will struggle with doing simple things. And I use the example of just getting out of the bed for me was a struggle. In order for me to get somewhere by 6, let's just say hypothetically, I train 6 o'clock in the morning. My alarms start going off 4, 5. I won't get out of the bed probably till 5:45. Because it was just a struggle for me to get up. Not because I'm just physically tired. Mentally and emotionally, I was just unmotivated and just drained. But I would manage to go. Something as simple as just making up the bed. You want to do it. Just simple things that we think, oh, that should come second nature. But when you're in survival mode, those things are not second nature anymore. It becomes a struggle for you. Now, I'm going to repeat this once again because I'm known to repeat because I want to make sure that I get all the information to you guys. So once again, if you can identify with any of those symptoms that I have read to you, you may be operating in survival mode. Now, the next question is, what causes this? I've given you a few, but one cause that is more important than anything that I told you is this. I found this definition. It said that survival mode can be triggered by different things such as trauma, loss, and big changes in your life. I went through all of that. This past year or last year, I went through dramatic changes in my life. And not only that, I'm pushing through, I'm making all these changes, I'm doing all this, but then again, I ran into an incident that took me back to a place that I guess I hadn't dealt with that hurt yet. So it just kind of threw me backwards. And I just began to operate on survival mode. But internally, I kept thinking, why am I so exhausted? It doesn't make any sense. So, once again, survival mode can be caused by trauma, loss, that is, death or, something big that you lost in your life. But death comes to mind for me. We lose loved ones, our mother, our fathers, grandmothers, stuff, people die, and that, that can cause you trauma. And that can cause you to operate in survival mode. And once again, big changes. I went through several changes, not just last year, the year before. Actually, for 2 years, I've been going through changes. Big and small changes impact us differently. And you can begin to start acting, saying, and doing things that you normally wouldn't do. Because once again, this is internal evolutions. We have to deal with our emotions and we have to deal with our mental well-being in order to prosper. Our emotions, our mental well-being is our foundation on how we live our lives. I want you to critically think about that. In life, how do you deal with stress? How do you deal with grief? Just how do you deal with happiness? It's a lot of people out there that really don't even know how to be happy. But those learning how to cope and deal with those emotions are very important because those are the foundations in your life. How to love. Not only love others, but loving yourself. Foundation of how you're going to live your life. Because we both know all of us know, when you don't love yourself and you're loving on everybody else, your life becomes chaotic at some point. When you don't deal with that loss of a loved one, you don't deal with stress well, your life is chaotic. That's how you're going to live your life. You will begin to live on survival mode. But luckily, I'm going to give you some information that you can get how to get out of survival mode. Now, the question you want to ask yourself once you determine that, okay, maybe I am, operating in survival mode, but how am I going to get out? There are 3 questions you have to ask yourself about your life. What is important? What is necessary? And what changes do you need to make in your life to simplify your life? Now, from what I was reading in this article, I love this example, and I'm going to read it to you guys. And it made me understand things differently. Imagine a boat with passengers sailing on the ocean that is starting to sink. In order to stay afloat, the crew may start throwing things overboard to lighten the load, making it easier to bail the water out. Do they need those things? Probably so. But in that moment of sink or sail, those items are just not vital at this time. The sailors use all their time, energy, and effort trying to keep afloat. It's exhausting and leaves little to no time for anything else. When I read that, I said, that's why I'm so exhausted. That's why I'm so tired. Because I'm not taking things off my plate to lighten my load. Like I said, I was steady adding on to it, trying to get through the day, trying to get through my goals, my tasks, and really not being realistic with myself. I was overwhelming myself, basically. And then I began to wonder, why am I tired? Why am I unmotivated? This is why I was operating off survival mode. And if that's you, those are the questions you need to ask yourself. What's important in your life? What is a necessity that you need? And everything else, just let it go. Let it go. Let it go. If it's not helping you to prosper mentally, emotionally, physically, or financially, let it go. You're wasting your time and your energy. It doesn't make sense. Next, I want to talk about. Now, once you make a decision and you answer all these questions, one other important fact I got to tell you, only you can answer these questions. You can't go ask the next person, and the next person what is important in your life or what do you feel necessary for you. Only you can answer that. And if you don't have the answers, then I suggest you go to God in prayer if you need direction. But you cannot go to somebody else and ask them what you need for yourself. You have to know those things on your own. Because once we begin to step out and start listening to people that probably don't, maybe not have your best interests at heart, it's no telling what road you might go down. So no, you have to answer these questions yourself. Nobody can answer them for you. Now, I want to talk about self-care as you're going through the process of getting out of this survival mode. Because for a lot of us, that's how we have been operating for years. So therefore, it's not going to happen overnight. Because this is how you've been living your life for an extended period of time. But another part of getting out of survival mode is learning how to take care of yourself. The first thing I always say, in order to take care of yourself, you only want to deal with things that's going to help you grow mentally and emotionally. Because once again, we have to start internally and work our way out. Then comes the physical. Then comes the financial. Because you got to have your mind right. Next, things that are not important, not a necessity, that's not helping you prosper and grow, let it go. You have to learn to pick your battles. Some things ain't worth fighting. And I go through that on a daily basis. When somebody comes at me now with something, I stop and I ask myself, is this worth fighting for? Pick your battles. This is me and myself talk. Nikki, pick your battles wisely. Is this worth fighting? Or is it easier just to let it go? And I've learned to let a lot of things just go. I can't stress over it. I can't change it. Once again, I will go back to that serenity prayer. Give me the wisdom to change the things that I can and the courage to know the difference when I cannot. That will save you a whole lot of misery. Now, when you begin to self-care, like I said, once you realize what's important, and you are important, so you are part of this journey, you're changing from the inside out. Next thing you have to do is ask yourself these questions. How am I taking care of myself? How am I taking care of me? What does that entail, taking care of me? That means, are you eating right? Are you sleeping? Are you just taking that time to yourself daily, whether it's an hour, 30 minutes, or whatever, just for you to just detox, like unwind, let go. That's an important part of self-care. Now, a lot of us, on this particular podcast, I go a step farther with self-care. I don't believe self-care is just totally like going to get a massage or going to get your nails done. That's part of self-care that makes you happy, but dealing with yourself eternally is true self-care, in my opinion. So once again, you ask yourself, how are you taking care of yourself? How am I fueling my body? Am I eating enough healthy food, or am I living on fast food? And we know in this era, in this day and age, we want everything fast. So yeah, it's convenient to stop, maybe at a McDonald's or Burger King, maybe because you don't want to cook, you don't want to do this, you want to do that. But the long-term effects of eating like that on a daily basis is not worth it when you think about it. Because you're tearing up your body. Then you're not feeding your body anything that it can use to help you prosper physically or even internally. I tell myself when I want to eat that, I call it garbage, because it serves no purpose. It's not to say that their food is nasty. Now, they got good food now. I grew up eating all that. But I'm saying for the purposes of self-care, no, you don't want to eat all. You want to eat healthy food. You want to eat brain foods, stuff that's going to help you grow, stuff that's going to help you to get your health in order. Those are the things you need to eat. Also, you can ask yourself, when's the last time I exercised? Now, I'm not talking about like physically going to the gym. You should exercise. It could be just a walk in the park. That is time to yourself. You're getting your physical exercise. And I'm not talking about a power walk, just a walk in the park, maybe a 15, 20-minute walk. You by yourself, your thoughts, and whatever else you got going on, but it's just you and God in the fresh air outside. To me, that's exercise. It's better than nothing. That's part of self-care. Next thing you have to ask yourself is, once again, when are you going to get that time to yourself? See, you can categorize those two things together. You could take a walk in the park, you done got your exercise, and you done got that time to yourself. And then the next thing you have to ask yourself, when is the last time that you just did something that you like to do, that didn't include, if you're married, your husband, or didn't include your children? What is something that you like to do? Because for a lot of us, and I'm speaking from a woman's standpoint, is we will put ourselves on the back burners to please everybody but ourselves. So you got to ask yourself, when's the last time you did something to make you happy? And just go do it. A lot of people ask me now when I travel and I do different things, Nikki, you don't be still. No, I'm not letting no grass grow under my feet if I can help it. I'm not letting nothing, I want to move. I want to do things. I want to explore. But at the same time, I was kind of struggling with the unmotivated part of it. But now I've learned the steps I needed to take to correct the problem. So once you do that, I will say you should begin to see a change. So what I need you to do is to try those things for 30 days. And then just report to me and let me know if you see a difference. You will become motivated. You will, get that same energy back and things like that because you done took a whole lot of things off your plate. There's help for you if you need help. It's okay to ask for help. You should be surrounding yourself with a circle of people that would be willing to help you. And once again, if you're not that person, then go to God in prayer. He will direct you to the people that will help you. And matter of fact, that is the last step that you should take, or one of the steps you should take to get out of survival mode, and that is surrounding yourself with positive influences. Individuals that are good for your emotional, mental, physical, and financial well-being. People that has already been there, done that. They done brought themselves up and they on top. Those are the people you want to be around because you want to know what they did. Maybe it might help you. And with this podcast, I'm hoping that it helps you too. With that being said, I don't want to end this podcast without giving you a biblical verse, that you can read. Now, I found this one, and I'm going to read it to you. It is, let me find it here. Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. Philippians 4:6-7. Now, what does all that mean? You should pray about everything in every situation, good, bad, confused. You should pray. Go to God in every situation and pray about it. When you pray, you give God the chance to be glorified and to get your answers. One important thing you should remember, God is in control and he is working. God is in control. At the end of the day, whatever goes on in your life, God in control. So why are you worrying about it? You pray about it and just keep in mind that you can only do what God allows you to do. But you got to be mindful and you got to listen. I was looking at this TV show and this lady said, you need to learn to recognize your father's voice when he talks to you. And a lot of us don't recognize that voice. God talks to you all the time, but you ignore it. And you keep on going in cycles and you keep doing things your way. And you wonder why they never work out. God is in control. One other important fact about that is prayer gives your mind a chance to focus on God. And it gives you a chance to give over all your burdens to the only one who controls this universe. And I like to tell people my morning walk, I like to call it what I heard my trainer say one day, a walk and talk with Jesus. I used to wonder, why should I always say walk and talk with Jesus? Yes, Every morning you'll find me walking and talking with Jesus about my problems, about what I got going on. And once I do it, it's released, it's done. I know God is in control. There's nothing I can do about it. But hey, sit back and watch God work. And with that being said, I hope that this podcast helps you. If it doesn't help you, maybe you know someone that is operating in survival mode. And if you do, please share this podcast with them, because it's my goal to help everybody discover the internal evolutions that they have inside. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and all of the podcast arenas. More importantly, you can also find me on YouTube if you're a YouTuber. I would like to thank you for taking time once again out of your busy day to listen to me, and we will talk again next week.